If you're like me, then you love to eat. As a kid, I was known for being obsessed with food. I was hardly a picky eater, and my parents never struggled with figuring out what to feed me. If anything, they would beg me to stop eating. I was almost like a human trash can.
Mami, quiero. Me.
I think that's why I grew up to be taller and bigger than my older sister. Anyways, this love of food never waned, but it did catch up to me. In 2022, I began experiencing some constant pain on the right side of my stomach every time I ate. I kept waving it off as gas, but the pain was so horrible at times that I stayed up hours at night until it went away. Finally, I decided to visit the emergency room when it was occurring day after day. The doctor then told me I had gallstones and that I wouldn't be able to eat fatty foods until after surgery. And I thought, yeah, it's not going to happen. Your gallbladder is a small pear-shaped organ on the right side of your abdomen, just beneath your liver. The gallbladder holds a digestive fluid called bile that's released into your small intestine. Now, the thing with mine is that it had stones. Gallstones are hardened deposits of bile that can form in your gallbladder. When you eat, your gallbladder contracts and empties bile into your small intestine. But when you get stones, that stuff hurts. So how does this happen? Apparently, it can happen if you eat too much fat, and I was eating a lot of fat. I had gained like 50 pounds since I graduated high school. Not my proudest moment. Since I wasn't technically dying and the hospitals were at capacity because of COVID, the doctor simply set a date for me to meet with my surgeon so we can talk next steps about getting it removed. But by some miracle, the pain stopped. So I never went to that appointment. I continued life as usual. A year later, the spring of 2023, I was finishing up my student teaching placement and was just weeks away from graduating college. Life was great. And then the pain came back, and with a full vengeance. But with just a few weeks left for graduation and my placement ending, I knew I didn't want to get my surgery until I had already walked that stage. So I decided to stick it out, which was my second error. My first was not meeting with the surgeon a year ago. My third was still eating as if it was not hurting me every single night. Even though I was in pain, it didn't slow me down. I would eat and then I would cry myself to sleep at night because of how much it hurt. Every single night. It almost became a daily expected routine. Some nights were worse than others. On the worst days, I would blast a hot shower and cry until there was no more hot water left, and then try to find a comfortable spot on the couch to sleep sitting up because it hurt less than laying down. There were a lot of sleepless nights, but after weeks of doing this, I did it. I crossed the stage, received my diploma, and because I'm crazy, I asked my parents to take me to Olive Garden to celebrate right after graduation. And you know what? I survived that too. I mean, that night was rough, but I survived it. One night shortly after Olive Garden, my parents invited my siblings and I out for tacos. I had been feeling really nauseous that day and had nothing to eat, but I decided that I would get 2 chicken tacos and that was it. That was like their least greasy option. Can I get 2 chicken tacos, please? Are you sure, torta? Are you sure you don't want a torta? So I ate my tacos. They were sad and dry. And then we went home. By the time we had gone home from the tacos, I was in bed withering in pain. It wasn't terrible, but I did feel like it shouldn't be hurting this bad after 2 tacos. Something in my gut was telling me that I was about to get worse, and I needed to go to the hospital now, which was the right call. My parents rushed me into the car and quickly drove me to the city hospital. COVID was still kind of a thing, so no one was allowed to go in with me. It was late too, easily like 10 p.m. Being stuck at 10 p.m. at the city hospital sucked. Usually when I would go to this hospital, the wait could easily be hours. There were times when my mom and I would spend the whole night there. It was frustrating, boring, and sad. So many people waiting to be seen, some even crying in pain. It was depressing. This would actually be my very first time waiting in the ER alone since my entire life. The nurse checked me in and I told her what was wrong, and I told her my pain was at 8. She just let me know they would see me as soon as they could and led me into the waiting room to sit. But I couldn't sit. I paced. My pain was so bad, I didn't want to sit for a single second. Hey, my pain is really bad. And I was just wondering, If you could maybe give me a pen. I cannot give you anything. You're gonna have to wait until they call you. Okay, yeah, no, I understand. That's perfect. So I went back to pacing. But every step, every second, every breath I took, the pain kept getting worse. Then I felt something I hadn't felt since second grade. The need to vomit.